Give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money, give me money.
Oh, you know what time it is. Shield time! If you look down in the description, you'll see a link to a Patreon, a Rumble, and a Discord server. If you want to see the uncut versions of these videos, go ahead and check out the Rumble. I cut these videos to fit YouTube's wonderful content policies, so if you'd like to see all the spicier jokes and things that YouTube would beat me with a spoon over, go ahead and check that out. If you want to come hang out or chat or tell me I'm a fucking retard, go ahead and give the Discord server a look. And finally, if you think my content is worth it, go ahead and give the Patreon a look. You know, patron subscriptions will encourage me to continue doing this. Maybe so I don't have to get a second job. Don't know. And, you know, it'll just help me improve the quality as well. Anything that goes into the Patreon will go back into the YouTube videos in some way, shape, or form. Also, once I finally get one patron subscriber, I will finally remove the annoying as shit Discord notifications. Marketing. So yeah. Also, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a like. If you want to see more of my videos, go ahead and subscribe. And if you want to annoy your friends with my amazing voice or my squeaky chair, go ahead and share it. All right, back to the video. Hello. We're live.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. This is Nine, and I'm here today with Gorgonzola.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a very powerful man, but I'm also a minority, so you must donate.
Yes, he's a minority, so I expect $69 donated to the Patreon by the end of this video.
Oh, yeah, reparations.
So today I was kind of thinking, you know, we could talk a bit about, like, I kind of like the current state of the culture war and just kind of culture and society a bit in general and all that jazz. It's something I've talked about a lot on my channel already, but I think it'd be interesting to get kind of your feedback on some stuff as well.
All right, where do we start then? Where would you like to begin?
That's a good question. I guess just kind of an overview on how you view it all, I guess. Personally, I've kind of come to this conclusion that the culture war has very much gone, for lack of better terms, it has overstayed its welcome. I think when it started, it was something, you know, it was fighting the good fight, trying to stop some bad ideologies, and now it's just kind of turned into a shit fest where neither of the active parties in it will allow anybody to really enjoy anything, and just a constant struggle for power over pointless shit. That's kind of the conclusion I've come to.
Yeah, the way that I've seen this, I'll take like a bit of a higher view and just kind of like scope it all out. I would say that divide and conquer has taken a really good toll on people in general. From what you see here today, when it comes to people disagreeing, they cannot be like friends at the end of the day. It's really turned into this, if you disagree with me, you're just an enemy that must be destroyed. And I think that's where it starts to get ridiculous. And all it does is fuel further fires, disagreements, and then it starts turning really into like these tribal warfare about, oh, you must be destroyed, you must be canceled, you must be this. You're either 100% supporting Donald Trump, or you're just a liberal loony that must be destroyed, or you must be fully on my side. It just gets ridiculous. And I think where a lot of this falls apart is that people cannot rationally think things through. And instead, it's like, no, the narrative must govern what I think and how I feel. Instead of it being, you know what, I'm not just 100%, let's say, on the right or the left. Maybe I'll take some elements from both sides and then come to my own conclusion. Instead, it's like, well, this is what my team believes. So that's just what I'm going to go along with, and your team disagrees with that, so you must die. And I think that's where a lot of this stuff falls apart. You even see that in some of the videos that I do when it comes to like Warhammer 40K and shit, where it's like if you just say that a space marine isn't a walking demigod that can just kill everything in sight, everyone's like, oh, you must be a hater. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Is there no critical thinking?
Yeah, like everything is hyper polarized too. Like you just touching on 40K there, it's like it's not just politics, it's everything. It's like this is I like how Nellup has been describing it. He started describing it as culture war brain rot, everything has just been so hyper polarized on every stupid topic for the past 10 years that now if you have a disagreement on the color of Master Chief's underpants, it's going to divide people. It's so stupid.
Exactly. I think one of the main problems is people, this is just my personal opinion from what I have observed. People are not mentally stable as they used to be many years ago. And I think what it also comes down to is their ability to socialize with other people. And then when you have like this disconnect where a lot of things happen online, so you don't have to face anybody, you don't have to see their emotions on their face, you can just type it all out, say what you want, you remain anonymous, all these other things. It kind of creates a bit of a divide when it comes to social skills. And what I see with these people is that they begin to take, let's say like Warhammer 40K, they attach their identity to it. So it's not like you just enjoy Warhammer 40K, or perhaps, maybe when it comes to politics, you just kind of side with the right a little bit more. It's almost like, no, this is my identity. This is who I am. So if you criticize Warhammer or the right or any of these things, it's like, oh, this is like a personal attack now. But it only becomes a personal attack if you attach your identity to it. And I think that's one of the major flaws that people are falling into right now, is that this becomes their world, their identity. So criticism is not allowed because now it's a personal attack. And I'm like, no, that's just silly.
Okay, what do you think leads to that? Because this is, I remember me and Nella, one of my first channel on the video, or my first video on the, yes, my first channel on the video, guys. This is the first time I put a channel on a video. The first video on my channel, me and Nella were specifically talking about why it seems like 40K fans are so unhinged. And we kind of came to a similar conclusion of oh yeah, it's like this is they for some reason they are deficient in personality. They didn't develop a personality, so instead they have latched their opinions and the things they like, and they substitute a personality for that. And what do you think causes that? Because it seems like that's been a problem that's been going on definitely since before COVID, and possibly before the internet.
My personal opinion is this: on the extreme end, I'm not going to blanket statement everybody in this area, but I would think more on the extreme end. It's people that tend to probably feel like losers or lower self-esteem, and then you want to attach yourself to something that is strong or that you see as like always a winner. So if Warhammer 40K is like, the meme-wise, it's always portrayed as being super masculine, super extreme, it's so grim and dark, nothing can even stand against it. These Space Marines are, again, walking demigods, just wading through thousands of rounds of ammunition like it's nothing. I think they see that and they're like, that's cool. That's something that I wish I was. And I think that's and then when you combine that with low social skills, again, I don't mean this in like an insulting way, but I think this is just how people are being raised nowadays. You attach your identity to that and you're like, that's what I want to be a part of. So then if I say Space Marines are actually not that powerful, you're like, no way. Like you're like basically insulting Warhammer 40K. You don't know what you're talking about. But I think deep down inside, because they've attached their identity to that, they take it personally. And I think it circles back around to like, if you have lower self-esteem and you're trying to attach yourself to something that you see as strong and that gets criticized, now you're almost like your very being is being criticized and they don't like it. That's what I've seen from a lot of people, because it's not even about facts or being logical. It's about being emotional at the end of the day, because you can give them facts, you can give them direct quotes from lore or anything else like that, and they'll just blatantly disregard it. And it's just like, no, you're wrong, you're stupid, you're this, you're that. And I'm like, none of these are arguments. It's not coming from any kind of factual basis. It's just all emotional at the end of the day.
My favorite example of this specifically with 40K people is when they start talking about how all 40K would always win or something. I just like to point out and remind them that the ultimate soldiers of the galaxies, these Space Marines, are going into battle with 100 dudes, on average, carrying a gun we invented in the 60s, wearing armor that is made from materials we invented in the 70s, and trying...
No, you're right. I don't even think that it dawns on them when they say like a ceramite armor, and I'm like, yeah, we have ceramic armor today.
Yeah, that's just plasteel. We invented that for Mustangs.
Yeah, so I think they they hear these concepts, or like let's say like ceramic in general is resistant to heat, and then they'll like equivocate that with it's immune to heat. I'm like, no, that's insane.
Well, it's the fact that a bolter will chew through it anyways. Well, like, or stubbers and shit. Yeah, a guy wearing armor made with materials from the 70s, carrying a gun from the 60s, and a weapon firing a caliber we've been using since, like, at least the Second World War, can punch through it.
They always like to bring up, like, let's say 75 caliber. It's a 75 caliber bolter round. I'm like, you realize that's almost the exact same as like a 12 gauge.
Yeah, that's a quarter. Now that's a beefy round. That's a pretty beefy round, but that's not anything bizarro.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember the one where it's like, I think it's like, they claim heavy bolters use something the size of a soda can or a Monster can. Which, if
they're saying that for just normal bolters, which is insane.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I've heard people say that about normal bolters, and then I remember one person specifically said, no, that's the heavy bolter. I could see that because that wouldn't be about the same size as an A10 Warthog round, like a 30 mil.
Oh, I got you. But even then, it's like 0.9. So instead of it being like a 70 caliber, it's basically just like a 0.9 at that point. So it's like nowhere even near the size of like these soda cans and shit, which is just insane.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, unless the heavy bolter specifically is firing A10 rounds.
But yeah, no, it just gets ridiculous, and it's not to get too far in just like to the lore in general, but I think it really speaks to a level of the reasoning that's going on here. So it's like what I would call the non sequitur fallacy, where you come to an illogical conclusion based off the first premise. So what is the first premise? Ceramite armor is heat resistant. Therefore, all plasma and melta weapons or flamethrowers and stuff don't work against it. And I'm like, how do you come to that conclusion? Just because it's resistant doesn't mean it's immune.
And that really does show, yeah, that is a really good mirror into how these people think, because it's not about logic or fact. It's entirely around enforcing their view. It's their entire form of processing information is solely built around building up their agenda, and you see that on both sides of this tribalistic clash that's going on right now.
Right. I think it's more important for people to want to be accurate than right. And so if you want to be right, the irony is you tend to be wrong because you there's too much confirmation bias.
Exactly.
If you want to be accurate, then probably more oftentimes than not, you're going to be right.
Exactly. That actually kind of, there's a couple things you mentioned that kind of reminds me a little bit of this, how like these people kind of feel like or view themselves, or maybe been told by society that they're losers, because let's be honest, a lot of these people seem to be millennials that were around a bit before the internet. And back in the days where if you played tabletops and played video games, you're a nerd, you're a loser, you got shoved in a locker and isolated.
That actually speaks to one thing. I think a lot of times when people spend too much time online, they do become isolated. So it's like there's a bit of irony where you're connected to everybody, yet you're still alone because you're not having that human-to-human interaction, not face-to-face.
Exactly. You're connected to the entire globe, but the entire globe's a profile picture saying racial slurs.
Exactly. It's a bunch of anime profile pics.
It's a bunch of anime profile pics, exactly.
No wonder they go insane then, huh?
Yeah, shit, we figured it out. Guys, we solved the culture war. Just ban anime.
There you go.
But this is kind of something, at least playing into the origins of the current culture war with the wokey bullshit. This is kind of a theory I've had. I think there's solid grounds to it. I've had some people arguing against it, but I kind of want to bring this into the mixture. As we both are very well aware, the culture war started back when the wokies were still called the SJWs, and kind of around the beginning of the Obama administration, that's when they really started to push this stuff. Obviously, they'd been working before that, but that's when they really started trying to push it on the culture. And I just drew some timelines, and a little bit of historical a little bit of comparison, a little bit of timeline drawing, history searching, and whatnot. And I've noticed there seems to be a bit of a thing here. Are you familiar with the Jesus movement?
Not specifically, no.
Okay, so during
Because I'm assuming that means something else.
well, okay, so during the civil rights movement, which was like the proto-woke movement, there was a parallel movement called the Jesus movement. This is actually kind of what the church that I go to wasn't founded out of this, but that section of the church grew and expanded because of this. And what happened was there was within the civil rights and the flower power movement, there was a Christian revival, and so there was a lot of these hippies starting to get saved, and that kind of made the church explode. That was during the 60s and 70s and whatnot, so a lot of those people were boomers. They grow up Christian. Then as that progresses, you get the things that kind of spark off the satanic panic in the 80s and 90s.
I see, yeah. The whole, like, if you read Harry Potter, you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm. Now, from what's been told to me, and from... Because I've actually talked to somebody who, as a hobby, and they did provide sources on this, they basically mentioned that what started the satanic panic was actually a couple of legitimate things. There was some really freaky occult bullshit that got uncovered around that time in some schools and whatnot. And that's what sparked the satanic panic. But then it turned into if you're playing Pokemon, that's satanic, or Doom is satanic, or D&D is satanic. That one's a funny one because that was one that my parents subscribed to. I play D&D now, and I have to sit there. It's very funny when I can sit there and go, I was talking with my mother once, and she was mentioning, like, that stuff's all, like, based on, like, paganism and magic and whatnot. I looked at her, and I'm like, I have actually talked to pagans and Wiccans. You will be hard-pressed to find one that thinks magic missile is real. But, so, like I said, you get all these boomers who become Christians from the Jesus movement, then they're the group that eventually kind of kicks off, like this, when the satanic panic kicks off, they turned it into what it was, just the pure legalism of that situation. And that's what the millennials grew up in, which resulted in them really having a hate boner for Christianity. And I've noticed that out of that, because the woke movement and the new atheist movement really seem to be like they were established and spearheaded by the millennial generation. And I think it was because of the satanic panic and all that stuff. And I kind of think that...
Yeah, it comes in waves. Especially like when you look at stuff like Christopher Hitchens. A lot of like, you have like the Four Horsemen, all like the different atheistic thinkers and stuff, and how that really began to explode as well. That was mainly during like the early 2000s and stuff. But when you really cut into the core of their arguments, in my opinion, I find them woefully unconvincing. A lot of it is just ridicule. It's not even real arguments.
Yeah, it's purely, like, these are all emotionally driven at the end of the day. There's
right.
The new atheism and the woke movement, that really new atheism kind of... The new atheism... Okay, the woke movement wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for the new atheist movement. You couldn't have had the woke movement in a still mostly Christian society, or at least a society that didn't hate Christianity so much. And so it really does seem like this generation of people grew up in such a strict legalist environment, and so they came to hate Christianity, and that's what pushed them towards socialist ideology and towards atheism. And that's kind of what exploded into the woke movement, which resulted in the current culture war we have now. But like their arguments are so easy to break because they say it's just emotional. There's no actual logic to it. Yeah. I mean, even if you look at like the woke movement, it's all about like affirming how somebody feels and you know, basically playing and enforcing their emotional view of things.
Well, think about how they say stuff like, "This is my truth," and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, it's like that makes no sense.
Like your truth. There is only just the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there is the truth, and then there is your opinion. And when you start, when I've heard people make the subjective truth argument, they basically explain it as it's their personal opinion thing. But they almost want to enforce their opinion on the level of fact. And this kind of goes back
Right.
to,
It's also
like,
the way they word it too. It's
exactly.
deceptive.
Yeah, it's deceptive. It's made to try and manipulate you. And it kind of goes back to the way that these people are thinking that we're talking about with the Bolter. It's not about fact, it's about reaffirming their view of things.
Exactly. Like I've seen people claim stuff like truth doesn't really exist. And then I'm like, well, then does that statement refute itself then? Because it's like, how could you claim that truth doesn't exist while making a truth claim? It's just, it gets ridiculous.
I've dealt with that argument before, and it can end up, you can get a person to make some really stupid statements with that. Like, my favorite
I mean,
thing,
just the first one's already pretty bad.
yeah, it's already bad enough, but they're like, oh, there's no such thing as, like, objective truth or anything. I'm like, okay, so is the sky blue?
Was that objective?
Yeah, was that objective? Well, my favorite thing is, like, okay, is the sky blue, or is an apple red? And then you can just get them into this entire spiel that basically forces them into saying they have to acknowledge that there is an undeniable fact that there is a pigment. You just can't agree on what to call it. So you can really easily lead these people into essentially defining their own argument as changing word definitions, and that's about the extent of it.
Exactly. It's like they don't like reality for what it is. So in this like mental asylum that is their head, they try to reshape it. So it's like redefining words, trying to deflect and sidestep stuff. And then it's like, no wonder you've gone insane. Like, look at what you've done. You're trying to like rewire what history is, what reality is. And it's like, no wonder why you just missed the mark. It's like
Yeah.
having a firearm, and let's just say that you've got you're trying to line up like your little iron sights, but if they're crooked, you're going to start missing everything.
Yeah, and their response is to, instead of fix the iron sights, they'll be like, no, this is my accuracy. This is attuned to how I want it to go, and then they just fuck it up even more. So next thing you know, bullets are going 90 degrees the wrong way.
I just aim my gun sideways.
Yeah, they use it hood style, I guess. What do you think is okay? Why do you think these people have kind of, this might just kind of retread some stuff we already talked about, but it's worth asking. What do you think leads these people to such emotional behaviors and mindsets over just seeing the truth? Why do you think they're so emotionally hell-bent on doing anything to deny the truth?
I think in a lot of ways it comes from a level of insecurity. Once again, so like I'll just use myself as an example. If I'm wrong on a subject, it doesn't bother me in the sense of, oh man, I might look stupid or people might think I'm dumb. I don't care about that. I'm just looking at it going, I'd rather be corrected so that way I'm accurate, because that's what I care about. But
Yeah.
if someone is worried about being right, I think it's because they tend to be more insecure about being seen as the loser, perhaps, that they really believe that they are deep down inside. And so that exposes things. It's kind of like a projection. So for instance, you hear the people use the term like incel.
You're an incel.
Well, if for you, sticking your hot dog down a hallway, if that's like a big deal for you, then it's probably going to be an insult for somebody else, the way that you see it. But if you really understand it, that's projection. Because that's important to you, you think it's an insult for other people. And so that's the way that I see it when it comes to these people that are like, oh no, I got to be right. I have to deflect or all this other stuff because I can't be seen as wrong or stupid. Because then probably that might reaffirm what they feel deep down inside. Where in reality, it's like if you have better social skills and you understand that it's not that big of a deal, it's okay to be wrong. It's more incorrect to stay wrong, though, because you are keeping yourself down. So it's like you don't have to be stupid, but you can keep yourself stupid.
Right. It's kind of almost sounds like a lot of this, especially at least on the woke side of things, really is just kind of a less funny version of the "watch out who you bully in school" meme. Like it almost seems like this is a revenge thing where these people have a vendetta against the current society.
In some ways, especially when the society tells them that what they're doing is wrong. That's why I think it's never a rational discussion. it's not logical. It's always emotional because it is emotional for them deep down inside. I think that's where it's an insecurity that comes from them.
Okay. Um. Now here's an interesting thing. So that's kind of like, I think we very well kind of established the woke side and kind of where this started. Currently, with what's going on, I think it's safe to say that the right side of things has also gone a bit cuckoo in the brain hole. You know, the concept of woke right is starting to become popular. And I know that a lot of people argue against that, like, oh, there's no similarity in ideology, and a bunch of honestly kind of stupid arguments. But I think just the fact that the concept of people on the right being just as bad is starting to get popular really does speak to the current behavior of the opposing side. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it. It's like, again, the tribalism that's going full force now, where, like, let's say MAGA, for instance, it's almost like you either go along with everything or you're just not MAGA. And I'm like, I think this is the whole premise is stupid to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I always approach this from, I'm not like a team player, so to speak. Like, I'm not going to be like, okay, I'm on this team, and so I got to believe everything that they say. It's like, no. I've always seen myself as like, I'm independent. Let me see what you have to say, and does it add up? I'm not playing like this red versus blue kind of. I think that's just stupid. You're tunneling yourself. You're putting yourself into a hallway where it's like, it's them or us, and it's like you're never going to win for that, because wherever that party goes, and it's just like, well, I must follow. Now you're just blindly following. That's just stupid. And so I think if the right starts making more mistakes, you have to get more extreme to try to defend it. And if you can't be rational, then you got to be emotional.
I like how you kind of take. I like how Nella puts it. He takes a similar approach. He's not right wing or left wing. He's Christian.
Yeah, exactly. That's why when I was doing my live streams, no one here will probably even recognize that. But when I used to do my live streams, I had people that were like, "You're not a true Donald Trump supporter." They're like, "You're a rhino. You're a Republican in name only." And I'm like, "What gave you the notion that I was a Republican to begin with? I never even claimed to be one, but because I made a couple of videos laughing at social justice warriors, now you've lumped me in with being a MAGA, Donald Trump voter, all these things." And I'm like, I've clearly established that I haven't done those things. Mm-hmm. So again, I think it's just like that emotional response. I think it's the non sequitur. You're coming to an illogical conclusion from the first premise. This guy laughed at a social justice warrior, therefore he's 100% MAGA. It's like, what? This is ridiculous.
There's a lot of liberals that laughed at social justice warriors. That the laughing at crazy people doesn't mean shit. It just means you don't like crazy people. What do you think has caused the right to get tribalistic and wackadoo? Because I remember for a good chunk of the culture war, the right, this really seems to be like a more recent development. It was kind of the side of, let's look at this logically, let's break this down, and we can disagree. Now they're not that anymore, it seems like. What do you think was resulted in this? Why do you think this happened?
In my personal opinion, I would say that it was always there. It just didn't bubble up to the surface yet. Because I have seen, like, just debating with people, because I've always been more down the middle and discussing a lot of things with people. I've always seen that side kind of bubble up a little bit, but it was never too extreme. However, when things get more extreme, like, let's say, I'll just use an example, the Epstein files. A lot of people were promised that this stuff would be released. Now that it's being told, like, the list doesn't exist, the people that feel like, well, I can't abandon Donald Trump, I got to stay on his side, well, you can't give a rational explanation for it. Now here comes the emotional response, which is like, who cares? It doesn't matter no more. You know, all you guys are into, twerking in front of the kiddies when it comes to story time and all this other stuff. And it's like, okay, but that's not addressing the point. Why hasn't the list been released, or why is it now being denied? Like, you can't ask questions no more. And so it starts turning into, the more extreme these things go on, if you can't defend it rationally, now it has to be emotionally, or it turns into deflection. So I think that bias that's always been there really bubbles up to the surface, and then now it goes full tribalism. No, I have to just deny reality for what it is. I'm the red team, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. So it's almost like you're holding on to it like a lifeline rather than anything else that has to do with, like, logic. It's more like an emotional thing. Like, no, I can't go, if I'm not red, then that means I might have to be blue, and I'll never go blue, so I'll just defend red until I'm dead. And it's like, this is silly.
Yeah. I've noticed this part of it personally in my own interactions. It kind of seems like part of it might be that because the culture war has been going on for so long, and because the opposition, quote unquote, has gotten more and more extreme, other people have felt in retaliation they need to become more and more extreme. So I almost wonder if part of it too isn't just a, well, you know, the interesting thing about a debate is at the end you don't actually convince the other person. You are both just more solidified in your own viewpoints. I kind of wonder if just 10 years of that didn't drive people into being a little more crazy. Like, you know, like, they've been fighting this for so long that it's become less about trying to stop a bad thing and just more about winning. And so...
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah. I've also noticed that this has resulted in the rise of some really whack job ideologies that, like, they've always been there, but they seem to have gotten more popular in recent years. As you know, I've been debating a lot of monarchists lately. That one's become way more popular as of late. What do you think's causing that? 'Cause I genuinely don't know what's causing that one.
Specifically what? The, like, monarch?
No, just like the rise and like the growing popularity of these more crazy ideas that were more niche and rare back in the day.
It might just be because, one, if you have, I don't even like this term, but like influencers, you can't deny that if someone is out there and they're building up subscribers and momentum, as I said before, if somebody sees someone as a leader or intelligent, they tend to like to attach themselves to that. So if you've got someone that's charismatic, maybe gaining momentum with different ideas, I think it's also like a form of rebellion to a degree. Not always, but to a degree, it's just kind of like, okay, well, I don't like this side, I don't like that side, but this seems cool because at least it's not one of the other two. So now I'll attach myself to this. Okay. So partially, I think it has to do with that.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because if you think in like forms of rebellion, it'd be like, you know, you should read your Bible, you should do this, and it's just like, oh, I'm not going to do that. You know, I care about facts and logic. I'm going to go listen to Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and stuff. And it's like, that's also a form of rebellion as well. It's like, oh, these guys are intellectual giants. I got to listen to them. Like, he knows science. You're dumb. And it starts turning into shit like that.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. So, with all this in mind, like the bizarro-ness of the culture war, as you are probably aware as well, there's a lot of things that have fallen victim to this that did not belong in the middle of the culture war and did not want to be there. My two favorite examples of this are Helldivers and Doom the Dark Ages. I don't know if you played Doom the Dark Ages. Yeah, I did. The game's freaking awesome.
I have not played it, no.
It's really fun. It's really fun. It definitely plays differently than Eternal or 2016, but it's fun. And
what were the controversies surrounding it?
The whole. Actually, I was about to bring that up. You know, like the whole. Oh, they put a woman in it. So she is the daughter of King Novik. So she's you know, like that one king dude that's been mentioned in the past couple games.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't really do a whole lot. Like the most, she plays this weird role of being a MacGuffin and a damsel in distress.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so like she's a noble.
Is she married off by her father?
Not exactly. So she is a noble, so she's a princess, and so she falls into that role, which, having to debate monarchists, that does come with a level of authority, but it is authority in the sense of, that's the king's daughter. If you don't do that, the king's gonna have a problem.
I gotcha.
And
so what are they just saying? Just because she's a female in the game, that it's just all woke garbage or something, or what are they saying?
That is basically what it turned into. It's like, oh, there's a woman, and of course she gets the superpowers because she's the MacGuffin. Oh, it's woke. It's like, the most she does is she uses her powers to enchant Doomguy's shield, and then she gets captured for like the second half of the game, and then she gets to stab like 3 imps while Doomguy goes and takes care of everything else.
I mean, if you think about it, it's like a mirror of the satanic panic. You know, everything is satanic. If you read Harry Potter, you're going straight to hell. And then it turns into the same thing where it's like everything is woke. If it has a female, it's woke. So yeah, I can definitely see that. It's just like it's more of a mindset when you're looking for something to destroy, so to speak. Or that old what is it? If all you have is a hammer, everything else is a nail. That kind of turns into that.
But yeah, no, it was funny too with the whole woman thing because people started bitching about that when it was just like, I looked at the trailer that everybody was complaining about when this all started, and it was like one singular frame. And I get my hands on the game.
Takes.
Yeah, and then I get my hands on the game. It's like, this is what everybody thought Space Marine 2 was.
Space Marine 2 wishes it was that game.
Space Marine 2 wishes it was Doom the Dark Ages.
Man, I'll tell you, I ripped Space Marine 2 apart, and again, it was nothing but these emotional responses with that damn game. I'm like, this game has such bad writing. And everyone's like, no, you're just a hater. I'm like, no, you ain't got no damn logic in that brain of yours. Like the writing is so bad. It's so bad.
I have seen people in the same argument bash Doom the Dark Ages writing and call it woke and garbage and all this shit, and then proceed to compare it to Space Marine 2 and praise Space Marine 2, which had a trans writer, actively was rewritten because the original story was way more fucking woke and still had some of those woke elements and gets the lore wrong on so many occasions. And this really kind of goes into the whole tribalism thing. The reason that people prop up Space Marine 2 as a super hyper masculine game is not because it's a super hyper masculine game. It's because a handful of content...
It's almost like that's the meme.
Yeah, well, it's because a handful of right-leaning YouTubers called it that. And so because these YouTubers called it that... This is something that me and Nelp has bitched about. These people... They subscribe to the ideas that are pushed by these YouTubers, because they're NPCs themselves. It's like the old NPC
yes,
memes.
They've attached their identity to the winner.
Yeah, and they can't think for themselves. They lack the skill of critical thinking, so they just latch to somebody else who will tell them what to think. And there's just enough of a concept of what they believe in to pick a side. And this results in these YouTubers going more and more extreme and becoming more and more bizarro because they got to get more and more eyes on them, and that just kind of extremes things in both directions. And that's how we get to the point where if it's not a trans person, the woke people freak out or something like that. Like if it's a sexy woman or it's not pushing identity politics, the left freaks out. If there's a black person or a woman in it, the right freaks out.
I want to touch on something that you mentioned when you're talking about they don't want to think, they just want to be told something. Yeah. And that's 100% correct. That's also why they attach their identity to what they would perceive as like a leader or somebody who is smart, because they don't want to think for themselves. I think this is also we're going to get a completely new age of extreme brain rot. And that's going to be things like ChatGPT and other AI, because all it does is give you answers. And if you look at the way that these things are structured, the AI doesn't really argue with you. The AI is always reinforcing what you're saying. So you could just be like, I want to create a new business where I use banana peels to massage people's feet. The AI might be like, oh, well, that's a new idea, and here's one reason why it could work. The AI is never going to sit there and be like, what a dumb fucking idea.
Yeah.
So it's because they want to keep that engagement user on that. So it's like, if I was to chat with you and all I ever did was like, your idea sucks. No, this is stupid. That's bad. It's like, you're like, maybe I don't want to talk to you all day. Because if all you're going to do is argue all damn day, it just gets kind of annoying after a while. But with the ChatGPT, Gemini, all these other AIs, it's always reinforcing, and it's just giving you the answers that you ask for. So I have a feeling that this is going to further dumb down people, or at least amplify what they already were. Because now it's like there's no critical thinking. It's just What should I do today? I don't know. Go walk at the park. And it's just like, oh, okay. Thanks, Chat GPT.
Yeah, and that could be really dangerous too, because a lot of people use like AIs for information, like for research purposes. This is why I don't
Oh, yeah.
like using AI for stuff like this, because yeah, they're going to use that for research purposes, and it's already bad enough. The internet, you can already find something to support every idea. Now you have a machine that'll do it for you.
100%. And then you perceive it as being hyper intellectual kind of a thing.
When all it's doing is it's just scanning every retard's fucking Reddit post and summarizing
Yes,
it.
exactly. It just regurgitates shit that other people have already said.
Just regurgitating Reddit. What do you think?
Space Marines always win.
Exactly. Where do you think this culture war is really gonna end up going when it's all said and done? Because right now, I've made a prediction a few times that woke ideology is falling apart. It's losing its popularity. It is causing problems. People are sick and fucking tired of it. I've made a prediction that I see the right kind of becoming the next big problem. Basically, you have become what you sought to destroy, and that might cause some social issues. But I really don't know. Where do you think this is all going to end up going?
I would have to say it's going to go where, in my personal opinion, it's always been pointing, and that's people versus government.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think a lot of divide and conquer has been played. Whenever you look at like government institutions, let's say three-letter agencies and stuff, divide and conquer has always been there. If you can get people to be fighting amongst each other about stupid shit, you can get things passed in the dead of night. You can always... When you read a lot of like the quotes from people, like the propagandists and stuff, they see people as like cattle. They're like, you're just nothing more than like farm animals, and you're too dumb to make decisions for yourself. The sad thing about that...
people subscribing to whatever YouTuber starts blabbering at them really doesn't help again to deny that argument.
Right, and what I was going to say is that the sad thing is, for the large part, they are correct, that a lot of these people out here are just too dumb to make like logical decisions when it comes to stuff like this. They can't be bothered with it. It's just like there's certain people that if you bring up maybe something political and you're just talking about it logically, not in the sense of right versus left all the time, everyone's like, oh, that's politics. I don't care. I don't want to talk about that. We don't talk about that stuff here. And it's just like you can't even engage into a logical, a conversation with these people. So I think ultimately what's going to happen is you're going to see people further divided, and you're going to see a government that further encroaches on people. And I think, like all governments, eventually that causes people to pop, because when they're underneath too much pressure, something is going to snap. Here's my conspiracy theory. I think eventually, sometime in the future, we're going to be moving towards a one world system, because there's a lot of wars. If you look at World War I, you had League of Nations. You have World War II, you had United Nations. World War III, which, in my opinion, we're already in. I think it's gonna bring up a new united system, maybe a one world banking system or something else like that. I think it's just further moving on to that. And I think the reason why it's going to end up like that is because it's very difficult to force people into submission. But what you can do is scare them into submission. So for instance, if I come up to your house and I go, you need to buy fire insurance right now, you can be like, nah, I'm good. But if 5 of your neighbors' houses just randomly caught fire, and then I go, oh, there's electrical problems going on right now in all these houses, even though I caused it, then I can come to your house and go, you need this fire insurance. See, now I scared you into buying it when beforehand I couldn't force you to take it. So it's kind of the same thing when it comes to governments. If I cause divide and conquer, and then you create wars to keep up your petrodollar and all these other things, then I can probably scare you into giving up more freedoms, create a more one world system. And then I think eventually that causes people to burst. They reach a snapping point. And so I have always seen it in that way, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, also there's just the fact that a lot of these people, a lot of these globalists are basically not even hiding that they want a one-world system. And they're the ones who've been pushing for a lot of these wars and whatnot, and they're the ones who are funding woke ideology and all this shit too. So
100%. They openly state it, and people don't even care.
So at this point, it's not even a conspiracy theory. But then again, you people aren't thinking logically.
Yeah, I mean, imagine someone saying, I'm gonna break into your house tonight and take everything you got. And you're like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then it happens, and you're like, oh, what happened?
I like how you tiptoed around when you talk about people popping. I like how you tiptoed around saying Civil War. I can't call you Tim Pool now.
You already wear the beanie. I was just waiting for you to say.
I'm trying to be friendly for YouTube reasons.
I don't give a shit. If it's something YouTube ain't gonna like, it's going on Rumble anyways. I don't give a fuck.
She. Yeah, but it's gotta remain on YouTube so everyone can hear my personal opinions.
That is very true. It'll still be on YouTube. It'll just be an edited version. That's with the robot voice and stuff. It's funny because
Just that generic AI voice.
yeah, just the generic AI. No, it's funny because I remember not too long ago I was watching a Tim Pool video and he was talking about some Asian shit, and he starts trying to do an Asian accent, and I'm sitting here like, what the hell? Tim Pool just pulled a fucking Gamza. And I almost got you to pull a Tim Pool. It would be so funny if I could have done that.
One day, I remember I did that live stream with that beanie, and that was like the #1 comment. I had like just dozens of comments. You trying to be Tim Pool? Are you Tim Pool clone?
Well, you got any like final statements or anything you want to throw in there, or?
I think we covered this topic pretty good. I'm not sure if I got anything else to add other than you should get your Bible and read it.
True that. A lot of this stuff does, especially like with the one world system and whatnot, a lot of this stuff you can point to the Bible and be like, yeah, there you go. It says it's gonna happen. Well, it's like
I think one thing I'll always throw out there for people is read your Bible and try to take an objective approach to it, and don't get too forced into denominations and this versus that. Just read it for what it says and try to be as accurate as you possibly can.
True that. But yeah, well, I guess that's all you've got. I don't really have anything else to put on the topic. Thank you for your time. This was fun.
Hey, no problem, my man. I greatly appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to plug or anything?
Obviously, I'll drop a link to your channel.
I'll plug in my phone.
You'll plug in your phone. Like I said, I'll drop a link to your channel so people can find you and complain and tell you how you get their lore wrong.
There you go. Yeah, my stuff is primarily just Warhammer 40k geared with other different sci-fi universes and shit. So I just mainly talk about that crap.
Damn you, Gamza, you son of a bitch!
Me Gamza, such a
All right. Well, I'll talk to you later. Thanks again for your time.
Catch you later, man.
Yep.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like, and please consider subscribing to the channel for more of this stupid nonsense. Also, if you'd like to hang out or just call me a stupid idiot dummy face, go ahead and check out the Discord. And if you'd like to support more content like this, go ahead and give out the Patreon a check. I hope y'all have yourselves a good day.